Hey everyone, welcome to the Jason Wright Show. So I want to talk about something today that I have been like doing a little, not research. That's the wrong word. I haven't been researching it at all, but I have been trying to practice this idea this concept that many of you have heard about called the law of attraction. And here is why. So I am on a mission to create the universe, to create the world in which I want to live and exist. And really, as we've talked about in the show before, and as many of you know, a lot of that starts with your thoughts, and it starts with the things that you focus your energy on. You know, Tony Robbins has always said, where focus goes, energy flows. So if you focus on the right things, if you focus on things that are positive, if you focus on things that could lend success to your life, then that's where you're going to put your energy. I think it also enacts this thing called our reticular activating system. Your reticular activating system is this almost subconscious scanner in your brain that's constantly looking for the thing that you desire most. It's the thing that whenever you decide you want to get a black car, or let's say that you decide you want to get one of those unbelievable looking. I love the looks of those Ineos Grenadiers. I don't know if you guys have seen those. The Ineos Grenadier is amazing. Essentially what they did with the Ineos is they took the old Land Rover Defender kind of design. Actually, the founder of Ineos, he wanted to buy that line of Defender and from Range Rover, and they wouldn't sell it to him. So he just created his own company, Ineos Grenadier. And they are amazing. Has nothing to do with the law of attraction or what I'm talking about. But man, whenever I start thinking of Ineos Grenadier, I'm like Michael Scott thinking of turtles. I'm going to be thinking of turtles all day now. I'm going to think of Ineos Grenadiers all day now. But a black one. Let's say I decided I want a black tricked out Ineos Grenadier. Well, once that's what I start thinking of and that's what I want, then there's a good chance that I'm going to start seeing and noticing every black Ineos Grenadier ever on the road. They won't go by. They'll not go by without my notice, because that's what we do. When we start to have something in our mind, this reticular activating system, it will scan and it will find that thing in which you are looking for. That's why it's really important to write your goals down and focus on them, and focus on in a very energetic fashion the things you want, because what your brain will do is it will start to figure out ways and put together clues subconsciously to reach that thing that you're trying to achieve. And then once it does that, then it will find its way into your conscious mind, and you will figure it out. One of my favorite examples of this, just real quick, as a real cool anecdote to this story. When I was 28 and trying to figure out how to buy my first company, I didn't have the money for it, but I negotiated as though I did. I had this vision for buying my first real estate business in Tyler, Texas, to get out of corporate America, to move Rylan and Abby here to raise them in East Texas, where I wanted to be. And I mean, I just fixated on this mission, this goal, this ambition to own my own small business in East Texas and relocate to Tyler. And I ended up finding the real estate company. I start negotiating the deal with the previous owner, and I have no idea how I'm going to pull this off. I have no idea. But what happened was, and this is what happens. This is how all of a sudden all the answers will just suddenly appear without you even looking specifically for them. I get to the point where I'm negotiating this deal, not having the money. I'm negotiating the deal as though I do have the money to buy the company, but really I don't. And it wasn't because I was trying to be deceptive. I wasn't at all. There was something that told me I'm going to figure this out. My vision was big enough. My vision was strong enough that I was going to figure this out. Well, as I'm driving home from work one night, the owner of the business I was trying to buy, he had told me what he wanted for the business. And he had told me that there was a certain amount of equity that he had in the building. He said the building was worth about $400,000 and he owed $56,000 on it. Well, not even thinking about that at the time, I'm driving down the road from work and I'm listening to these old Carlton Sheets real estate investment tapes. I've told this story before, so those of you who heard it before, it's just a refresher. Let it be a refresher on how you can go buy yourself some real estate with no money down, because this is what I was thinking about at the time. I wasn't even thinking about trying to close that deal. I was still trying to self-educate on how to become a real estate investor. And one of the things that Carlton Sheets was talking about was how if an owner has enough equity in the property you're trying to buy, there is a chance that they'll take a second lien, and you can actually borrow against that asset they're selling you and give them a big down payment big enough to pay off whatever debt they might have. Or if they own it free and outright, you could give them a 50% down payment, because you could take 50% of the equity out of it. The bank takes a first lien, they take a second, and you have two notes that you're paying, one to the bank and one to the person selling you the asset. And I remember whenever I heard this, I was like, wait a minute, that might apply to the deal I'm trying to do. Because he told me that he has the building that I'm buying with this real estate company is worth about $400,000, and he only owes $56,000 on it. I wonder if I could borrow 50% of the value of the building, $200,000, pay off his debt. He now owes nothing to his bank. Give him a huge down payment, keep a little bit of it for working capital, and convince him to take a second lien and get my banker to take the first lien. And maybe I get this deal done with no money out of my own pocket. Now, so here's the deal. Here's why I tell you that story. Not because I want to show off, I want to flex on what a great real estate investor I am. Not at all. The reason why I was able to put all those pieces together was not because of the teachings of Carlton Sheets either, although I'm kind of indebted to Carlton Sheets because I had no idea that I could do that. It was because my reticular activating system was so honed in on finding ways to figure out how to make this acquisition. And that's what will happen. So you take that into your everyday life. And I think that for me, one of the things that I've learned recently through, I went through a really cool leadership training course that I told you guys about on my last episode of the show, which was way too long ago. I said I was going to get back in here and get more in sync with doing episodes, and I haven't done that. And so I apologize. But one of the things that I'm really trying to do is be much more outward focused. I found through this leadership training that I went through that I am way more inwardly focused than I would like to be. I'm constantly thinking about, how do I improve my knowledge, my skill set, whatever abilities, fill in the blank, to become more successful, to be more able to give utility value to whatever projects or companies I'm working with, instead of just trying to just live life where everywhere you go, you bring atmosphere that you want in the world. And as a result, good things, good opportunities will come to you. Okay. And it sounds kind of cheesy and it sounds kind of weird, but it's working. It's crazy how much it's working. So the first thing I want to do, I asked ChatGPT, what is this thing called law of attraction? What do you know about it, Chat? And here's what Chat said. The law of attraction is the belief that your dominant thoughts, emotions, and expectations shape what you experience in life. In plain English, what you consistently focus on tends to show up more often. People usually summarize it as like attracts like. Positive focus, positive outcomes. Negative focus, more friction, setbacks, or stress. How it's commonly explained, thoughts become things. Your mindset influences your actions, decisions, and even how you interpret events. Emotion is the amplifier. Feeling something strongly, hope, gratitude, fear, reinforces what you're focusing on. Belief drives behavior. If you truly believe something is possible, you act differently, and those actions change outcomes. How it actually works in real life, less woo, more reality. I always like to get less woo. And when you start talking about law of attraction or anything like this, it gets real woo-woo real quick. Even if you strip away the mystical framing, the law of attraction overlaps with very real mechanisms. Attention bias. You notice opportunities aligned with what you're focused on. There you go. That's what happened with me in the real estate deal. I noticed the opportunity that this presented to me. If I could get this owner to take a second lien and I could borrow the debt out of his building, I might actually be able to create this deal, which I ultimately did. Behavioral alignment. Beliefs shape habits. Habits shape results. Confidence and posture. Optimistic, powerful people take more shots and recover faster. Social signaling. Your mindset affects how others respond to you. Okay, this is one of the things that really made me want to come on today and do this episode on law of attraction. So one of the things that I want to do is create an atmosphere wherever I go of joy, passion, happiness. I consider myself a joyful, passionate, contagious leader. I want people to be attracted to being around me. And one of the reasons why is for so long, that has been my superpower. If I'm in a room, people come around me because I have a natural sense of humor. I'm a goofball. I don't have any inhibitions. I try to make people feel good. I'm going to ask you more questions about yourself than I'm going to tell you about myself. I want to know about you. And so I want to use that superpower of being able to walk into a room and control the atmosphere for good. I want to use that more to my advantage, because if I just go in saying, how can I serve the room that I'm walking in to make everyone in here feel more comfortable, happier, and joyful? If I do that, if I focus outward, then the ancillary benefits will be that I'm going to be more joyful. People are going to respond to me positively. And this just recently happened at Love Field whenever I was about to take a flight. I walk up to the clear line, and the guys that's helping me, he says, he comments on my suit, which, by the way, is an amazing suit. It's my favorite suit. And he goes, "Man, I love that suit." And I said, and normally what I would do is I would just say, "Hey, thank you. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it." This time I didn't. Instead, I shared that suit with him. Let me explain. I went over, I said, "Dude, right, is this suit not amazing?" I wasn't going to exercise false humility. It is an amazing suit. It's beautiful. It's a suit that I bought, by the way, at Harley's, Tyler, Texas, the single most amazing men's store in all of America, as far as I'm concerned, definitely in Texas. And we have it right here in Tyler, Texas, Harley's. But I digress. It's an amazing suit. And I said, "Dude, I know, isn't it? Are you kidding me? I love this suit. It's my favorite one." I said, "Here." I said, "Feel this. Feel how good it looks." And I walked back over. I was about to hit the TSA terminal. I walked back to this guy, and I said, "Here, feel that. Feel how good the fabric feels." It's got this kind of almost a flannel feel to it. He goes, "Man, that is nice." I was like, "Yes, it's amazing." And so we had this connection. It wasn't just him complimenting my suit and me saying, "You bet, thank you." Instead, we had a connection. And then here's the real cool part, where I knew the connection had been made. And by the way, I'm at the airport. I'm going through security. Not the most joyful place to be, but I went in with the mindset, I'm going to bring joy, I'm going to bring passion, and I'm going to be contagious to the people that I interact with through the freaking security line, because it can be an absolute beatdown. So I get through the TSA line. All of a sudden, the guy that had complimented my suit, he says, Jay, you got a great name. That's the best name in the world." I said, "Oh." I said, "Is that your name?" He said, "Yes, it is." I said, "Well, there you go." I said, "You know what that means? It means healer." He said, "Yes, sir. That's what we are. We are healers." And so I was like, "Okay, Jay, good. Have a good day," or whatever. I had never had that happen before. I had never gone through the clear line leading up to TSA and had that positive of an interaction. And turns out the guy and I share the same name. It was almost like, for that brief moment, we were friends. And here's the cool thing. Everyone around us saw that exchange. So I get up to the TSA where you put your stuff in the bucket and it goes through the scanner. And the lady working TSA, her demeanor, her everything was different than any TSA agent I've ever dealt with. She was smiling. She's like, here, trying to help me. It's like all of a sudden the entire atmosphere around me had completely changed. That, in my opinion, in my understanding of the law of attraction, is what it's all about. At least that's understanding what I know about it, which is to try to bring the attitude, bring the atmosphere you wish to exist in, bring it everywhere you go, exhibit it, and it will then be reflected to you. I brought that into Dallas Love Field, and I got to tell you, instead of being like Pigpen on the Peanuts walking around with a cloud over my head, I was this dude walking around with sunshine, and it was contagious, and that's something I want to be. I want to be contagious. I want people to be around me, and I want them to say, "I don't know what it is you've got, but I want it." And now, look, I'm going to have bad days. I'm going to fail at this. And so if you run into me and I'm a complete, grunt pot, just forgive me, give me a little grace, because it's not always going to be that way. But I can tell you, since I've taken this attitude, things have changed. I want to give you another example. When I was going through this class that I was telling you guys about, this training course, we had to do this project that took us off site, and we're going around Austin, and we have to figure all these things out. And we go into a Shake Shack. I did one little thing. First of all, I went in with the attitude, and it was during when everything was frozen. And so we were kind of like, people, it's hard to get around. And so for me, the people that were showing up to work in the fast food industry during that weather, I was like, man, these are the diehards. These are people that truly take pride and dignity in what they're doing, and they take responsibility for coming to work. Because I guarantee, like, we went to a Target because we had to pick up some supplies there. 42 people at that Target had called out that day because they weren't going to drive through the snow or through the ice. So I'm in this Shake Shack, and I'm thinking, these folks don't want to be here flipping burgers doing this today. They probably want to be out enjoying a snow day. We went to this park where there's this big hill and people are sliding down in sleds. It's whenever things freeze over, especially in Texas, it's just like a holiday. Everything just shuts down. It's an excuse to play hooky, but these folks weren't. They had the excuse. They had showed up to work. So I did this one silly little thing. Instead of putting my name on the order for them to call out, I put my nickname that most people call me, which is J-Dub. So I put my name as J-Dub. And whenever they brought my food out at Shake Shack, they said, J-Dub. And you could tell they knew there's nothing serious about J-Dub. It's obvious it's a nickname. It's not my real name. Jason is boring. Jason is just every other. It might as well be John, Jim, Steve. J-Dub is different. And they kind of laughed, and you could tell they liked that. And it was funny because I ordered the food to go, but then we ended up staying in there. Because I ordered the food to go, they didn't pop the top on my Topo Chico. So I took it back over there to get the top off. And the dude that was waiting on me, he turned to one of the girls that had prepared my meal and said, "You didn't pop his top." She goes, "Hey, and she looks at me, she goes, "You said it was for to go." She said, "You said it was to go." She said, "Come on, J-Dub." And I was like, that's amazing. Inside of like 5 minutes, now all of a sudden, not only am I on a first name basis with the kitchen staff at the Shake Shack, but they're calling me my nickname, J-Dub. And one of the things I didn't mention to you before we'd even done that, the dude one of the first guys I talked to up at the register after I had put my order in, the little digital deal, I ended up giving him a bro hug. I don't even know why. We were chatting. I said, "Dude, give me a hug." Hugged him. And so the bottom line is, I went into a food service business, if you will, and instead of going in there with the mindset to be served, I made the conscious effort to serve. These folks were at work on snow day, and I wanted to serve some sunshine up, just be happy, be the easiest customer they dealt with the entire day. And it turned out it was fun. One of the other guys that was working there, he came over to talk with our group just to ask, "What are you guys up to? What are you doing?" Because we were like working on our project. That's when we didn't take the meal to go. We decided to just go ahead and get the work done there at Shake Shack. And we told him what we were up to. And this guy had flown in the night before from New York and got up and got to work on time that day. And it was like we became a part of the restaurant that was just, it broke the monotony for the staff. And look, I hope this doesn't come across as like, look at me, look how wonderful, what a great guy I am. I went to Shake Shack and made some people call me my nickname and laugh. Please don't take it like that. What I'm saying is, what I am learning is that we do truly have the power to determine the atmosphere in which we live. It's not going to always work. You're always going to interact people with bad attitudes. You're always going to interact those people that are having a bad day. But here's what I am learning day by day by day. You increase your likelihood of getting smiles by giving them. And look, I don't know about you, but I love it. Whenever I'm walking through the grocery store, I'm walking into a restaurant, anywhere I go, I'd much rather have smiles than grumpy faces. There's plenty of grumpy faces out there. And it seems like right now we live in an era where there's so much currency in anger and hate and bitterness and divisiveness that why not be the person that just walks around with a smile? It will yield more smiles. And here's the cool thing about it. When you put yourself out there and you're the person that's contagious, you're the person that people want to be around, then guess what? You become the person that people want to give opportunities to. And so therefore, now you've attracted the opportunities. You've attracted the thing that might end up leading to you achieving your goal. I just think there is a lot of power in this. And I know, and some of you out there, you have known this for years and you've practiced this, and you know, you're probably leaps and bounds ahead of me in success, in goal achievement, and just living a happier, more contented life. And for you, I say, awesome. That is amazing. And the real sad part about it is we all know this intuitively. Every single one of us know that if you smile at the world will smile back at you. I think that's some either cheesy song or a quote. And it's not always going to happen, but I can tell you firsthand, when you greet somebody with a smile, there's a good chance you're going to get a smile back. And so as it relates to the law of attraction, goal achievement, trying to shape the world in which you live, trying to put yourself in a life, in an environment that is something that lifts you up instead of bringing you down. Be a giver of sunshine. Be a giver of smiles. Be a giver of openness. Walk into a room. I said this whenever I went to the Shake Shack that day. I said, I learned something today. I learned that when you go into a place to serve instead of be served, changes everything. It'll turn a mundane trip to a burger joint into a joyful event where you make new friends, you're hugging it out, and other people that you don't even know are calling you by your nickname. And it's just more fun. It makes life more fun. So I hope your year is off to a good start. We're already down 1 month. And you know what that means? That means we're 1 month closer to Christmas. I am the biggest Christmas nut ever. I keep telling my wife, you know what? Not too long till Christmas. That's right. I'm saying that in February. Also, February, big month. That is my birthday. But more importantly, it is my daughter Ryland's birthday. How about that? Ryland Merrill Wright was born on the same day as me. She was the best birthday present I ever received. I'm so happy for that. I hope your year is off to a good start. And remember, if you want goodness, if you want happiness, if you want joy to come to you, give it away. I'm telling you. Don't do like I've done for so many years and read the self-help books, taken the classes, done the training, tried to make myself smarter, tried to get, always try to attain skills. And yes, read and all those. I'm not saying don't do that. But at some point, just look outward and go with the mindset of, I today am going out to serve up joy, passion, happiness. It will be contagious. People will come into your orbit that will want to share that sunshine. And as a result, they will radiate within your orbit. And it is truly, truly special. Thanks for joining me. I'm Jason, and I'm out.